Gavin Newsom's political career and delusional aspirations of becoming president are over. After Donald Trump hands him two embarrassing major losses, one in the court of law and the other one in the court of public opinion. Gavin Newsom is engaged in a widespread misinformation propaganda campaign similar to when the fires broke out in Los Angeles, completely lying and insulting the intelligence of every single person with eyeballs, and this time it is blowing up in his face. As always, like the video and subscribe to the channel. I know you guys love when Gavin Newsom gets destroyed for the entire world to see. But let's take a look at his post on X, which led to his first major loss handed by Donald Trump. So Gavin Newsom, fueled by desperation, embarrassment, and hair gel overdose, makes this post on X. I just filed an emergency motion in court to immediately block the ongoing and unnecessary militarization of Los Angeles. The federal government is turning the military against American citizens. This is unprecedented and threatens the very core of our democracy. Well, if by threat to democracy you mean enforcing federal immigration law and not allowing violent protesters to vandalize and destroy Los Angeles, then I guess it's a threat to democracy. According to Gavin Newsom, California gets to determine its own set of immigration laws, and the federal government must obey them and also must allow violent protesters to attack them in the process. Now, this next post by the mayor of Los Angeles really hammers in the point of how delusional and misguided these California politicians are. She says, Angelenos are trying to live their lives, going to work, caring for their families, while facing the constant threat of sudden immigration crackdowns. This fear paralyzes communities. We saw it before. Kids too scared to go to school, families torn apart without warning. Let's not pretend this is about public safety. It's political retribution. Plain and simple. That explains the Democrat philosophy, plain and clear. Enforcing the immigration laws and having a civil and orderly society is political retribution. It's why Democrats were so worried about political retribution from Donald Trump after they completely and illegally weaponized the Department of Justice to go after their political opponent. Because God forbid Democrats get held accountable for breaking the law. That's just Donald Trump being an authoritarian. And it really shows that they truly believe California is just part of Mexico. When she says the citizens of Los Angeles are just trying to go about their daily lives but can't because of the constant threat of deportations. I'm sorry, but no American has to worry about deportations. What you're admitting is your city is full of illegal immigrants who broke the law, and you're harboring them against federal policy. And then finally, Gavin Newsom, who's just whining and crying on X instead of doing his job as governor, which if he was doing, Donald Trump would have never had to send the National Guard in the first place, doubles down on the consensus that California is nothing more than an extension of Mexico. He says, the founding fathers did not live and die to see this moment. It's time for all of us to stand up peacefully, while attaching a translated tweet in full Spanish. If you have to translate a speech about our founding fathers in Spanish because that's the crowd you're trying to reach, you've already lost. Our founding fathers did not live and die to see their country be invaded by illegal foreign nationals and then harbored by lunatic leftist Democrats who have no respect for the rule of law. But because the rest of us are living in reality and our eyes are telling us the truth of what's actually happening, Gavin Newsom's desperate lawsuit fell flat on its face. Here is Jake Tapper reporting that a federal judge denied Gavin Newsom's request to block Trump from using the National Guard. This is awesome.
The judge has denied the state of California's request to stop Trump from using the California National Guard to keep the peace and keep order during these protests. CNN's Elena Treen is at Fort Bragg, North Carolina, where President Trump is speaking. And Elena, that's a big development, the judge denying California's request. Tell us about that, and tell us what the president has been saying in his Fort Bragg speech.
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge deal for the president here and his administration. And we heard just moments ago the president saying that he wants to liberate Los Angeles and really attacking Governor Gavin Newsom and Mayor Bass for the way that they've been responding to him calling in the National Guard and the Marines to go and try and quell these protests. Where obviously, I'm sure if he's not alerted about it on stage, we'll soon after be hearing from him directly, I'm sure, lauding that decision from the court. But to go back to some of the criticism we heard, just now I'm hearing him use that nickname for his derogatory nickname for Gavin.
So rightfully so, the judge denied to block Trump's legitimate use of the National Guard because this is one of the most clear-cut, justifiable cases in which to use it. Gavin Newsom just filed this lawsuit to engage in typical Democrat theatrics and show his solidarity with illegal immigrants. Just because Gavin Newsom wants to live in delusion and keep calling these riots peaceful protests and insisting that the National Guard isn't necessary, they have things completely under control. The judge lives in reality, and it's completely ironic that when these rogue activist judges unconstitutionally block Trump's agenda, Democrats are cheering and celebrating, oh, thank God for the judiciary. But when they side with Trump, which they do in 90% of cases, they claim the judicial system is compromised. We're one step closer to authoritarianism. No. Here is why Donald Trump was allowed to activate the National Guard. This is people looting and breaking into Apple stores, Adidas stores, and jewelry stores during the middle of these riots that are supposed to be about immigration.
Look at the security guard. Let's go, let's go. Next spot. Oh shit, they're in.
So there you have it. That's the actual situation. That's what they want you to believe isn't happening. That's why they're telling you not to believe your eyes, because if you believe your eyes, you'll realize this is chaotic and out of control and unfitting and unacceptable behavior in the United States of America. This is what happens when you allow chaos to erupt. What does looting the Apple store or the jewelry store have to do with protesting deportations? California's declaring they're willing to let all hell break loose if that means that they don't have to follow federal law. And Gavin Newsom's next strategy was to try to insult the troops, the National Guard and the Marines that have been deployed, saying they took an oath to the Constitution, not a fascist authoritarian leader. This isn't what they signed up for, to be deployed in the streets of America and attack citizens. He just creates in his head these imaginary fear-mongering scenarios so these Trump deranged Democrats can feel like they're in the right. But while Trump was giving a speech at Fort Bragg today, listen to the troops boo Gavin Newsom and the mayor of LA, Karen Bass. This is epic stuff.
Wearing a uniform because you don't know exactly who they are. In Los Angeles, the governor of California, the mayor of Los Angeles, they're incompetent, and they paid troublemakers, agitators, and insurrectionists. They're engaged in this willful attempt to nullify federal law and aid the occupation of the city by criminal invaders. That's what it is.
I mean, these soldiers signed up to defend the country they love, to protect the rights and the freedoms of Americans, to allow them to live in a sovereign nation, to preserve our civil society that is based on the rule of law. And Gavin Newsom thinks if he whines hard enough, then he'll get what he wants. Because all of these Democrats, from Gavin Newsom to the rioters to the general Trump deranged Democrats, are arrogant, self-obsessed narcissists who think that their deranged wants and desires trump everything. Here's CNN talking about Gavin Newsom's failed lawsuit attempt made him look like a fool.
I would also say some of the credit for Governor Newsom's surge in visibility, shall we say, is owed to Donald Trump.
100%.
Right? And so if Trump, wants Newsom to be the Democratic nominee in 28, he thinks that's who Republicans should run against. I mean, I think that there's some of that potentially going on as well. I mean, he clearly wants to pick this fight with him. And, Trump also kind of delights in seeing his enemies attempt to take him on and not succeed, right? And I think you're seeing an element of that as well, because I think it's worth noting that Newsom also hasn't been successful in the courts so far to the extent he would probably like to be, and I think that is really one of the big questions here for Democrats. I mean, what their base is demanding of them is that they do something that so far the system is not allowing them to do, and Democrats are working within the systems that are democratic systems that they so vociferously depend on. And so this is this enormous tension here, and this is why Trump's able to kind of exploit the Democrats or agitators or whoever they are that are going outside the system, because Trump can look at that and say, look at this is violent, this is wrong, this is horrible. But on the flip side, the systems that are in place have not so far given Democrats what they want.
Gavin Newsom and the rest of the Democrats are just pulling their hair out in frustration right now because they can't do anything to stop Donald Trump. They assumed that if they let violent riots break out in the streets of Los Angeles and let protesters attack federal agents, that somehow Donald Trump was going to back down and stop enforcing the law. And again, what Gavin Newsom and Mayor Karen Bass are completely obfuscating is that it didn't need to happen. This is a result of them refusing to maintain order and peace and not let ICE agents get attacked by bricks and rocks and fireworks and Molotov cocktails. If they just did their jobs, Donald Trump wouldn't have had to call in the National Guard. But Democrats refuse to take accountability for everything. It's just Orange Man bad. So Donald Trump put out a statement saying he contacted Gavin Newsom and told him to get this thing under control before he even deployed the National Guard, to which Gavin Newsom profusely denied this claim, saying he didn't get any call from Donald Trump. And then President Trump, in epic fashion, unknowing to Gavin Newsom, brought the receipts and showed that Gavin Newsom is a bold-faced liar. Check this out.
Between Gavin Newsom and President Trump. Gavin Newsom, after President Trump said in the noon hour in the Oval Office that he called him yesterday or the other day, Gavin Newsom tweeted the following. He said, quote, "There was no call, not even a voicemail. Americans should be alarmed that a president deploying Marines on our streets doesn't even know who he's talking to." Well, President Trump contacted me from Air Force One on his way to Fort Bragg, North Carolina, where he'll be in just a little while. He said the first call to Gavin Newsom was not picked up. The second call Gavin picked up. We spoke for 16 minutes. I told him to essentially, quote, and this is quoting the president, "get his ass in gear and stop the riots, which were out of control more than anything else. This shows what a liar he is." Said I never called. So here is the evidence. And here is the call log that the president sent me from his phone. This was June the 7th. Now, granted, this was on Saturday. But look, there's 1:22 o'clock in the morning. Which would have been 10 o'clock at night, 10:22 at night, California time. There was an outgoing call for 4 seconds. And then there was an outgoing call for 16 minutes. So that from the president, which says is proof that he spoke to Gavin Newsom.
Again, I don't know how Gavin Newsom looks at himself in the mirror. He must be a complete sociopath. Every word that he breathes is a lie, and it gets publicly proven to be a lie, and he just completely ignores that reality and moves on to the next lie. It's what happened during the LA fires, and it's what's happening now. He wants to cry and play victim when he had every single chance to get this under control. He didn't want it to get under control because his solidarity is with illegal immigrants, not the legal American citizens living in Los Angeles. Gavin Newsom's presidential ambitions hang in the desperate hope that Americans have short-term memory, that they've already moved on and forgotten about the absolute incompetence that took place during the LA fires. But now it's on full display again. Gavin Newsom's pitch to the American people should be, If you want all of your major cities to burn to the ground, elect me. If you want mass illegal migration in all of your communities, vote for me. If you want widespread rioting and looting and violence against law enforcement, vote for me. If you want a president who never tells the truth and gaslights you into thinking you're the crazy one, then vote for me. I've never seen a more unlikable, weaselly, anti-American politician than Gavin Newsom, and I'm glad that we're seeing his political career flatline in real time. But let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss a video. And I will see you guys in the next one.